everybody. My name is David Royer, and I'm the founder of the American Network of Financial Education, and I'm glad you're here today for my free training about the top 10 IRA and 401k mistakes and how to avoid IRA and 401k tax traps. I will also share with you ways to protect your IRA and 401k from market risk, tax penalties, and how you can create a guaranteed income for life. What I'm about to share with you today is valuable information for those who are retired or planning for retirement. Given the unpredictable world we currently find ourselves in, I wanted to get this out to you as soon as I could. If you own an IRA, 401k, 403b, TSP, or any other qualified retirement plan, the information I'm going to share with you now is vital to the success of your retirement future. The mistakes plan owners make can be very costly and are almost always irreversible. At the American Network of Financial Education, our passion is to empower every American to take control of their financial and retirement future. Now, you may want to grab a pen and paper to take notes. Taking notes could be important, as I'll be going quickly. I'll be covering a lot of very important information that could have a big impact on your retirement. During today's training, I'm going to go over the highlights of my book, Top 10 IRA and 401k Mistakes, and how to avoid IRA and 401k tax traps. So with that, let's get started. We're going to jump right into mistake number one, and that's not understanding how the Secure Act of 2019 and the more recent Secure Act of 2022 will impact your retirement accounts. The Secure Act of 2019 is one of the most significant pieces of retirement legislation in over a decade, and these new rules went into effect January the 1st, 2020. Now, the Secure Act of 2019 offered two new benefits to IRA owners, so let's review them quickly. The first benefit, it eliminated the 70.5 age limit for making traditional IRA contributions. You see, prior to the Secure Act, when you turned 70.5, you could no longer make contributions to your IRA. That limitation is now gone, and that allows you to contribute longer. The second benefit, it increases the RMD age from 70.5 to age 72. So now you can wait longer to take distributions. So these new benefits will help your retirement plans grow and provide more income during your retirement years. Now, the Secure Act of 2019 also had new rules for your beneficiaries. Under the old rules, children and grandchildren could spread their distributions and spread their taxes over their individual life expectancies. That could be 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years or longer. They could spread out those taxes. Under the new rules, those same children and grandchildren and most other non-spousal beneficiaries must pay the taxes no later than 10 years after they inherit. So now the non-spousal beneficiaries have 10 years to pay the tax. They can no longer spread it over their life expectancies. Now, non-spousal beneficiaries have options. One, they could cash out the account now and pay all the taxes right now. But if they're in their peak income earning years, this may not be a good idea because they may be in a high tax bracket. Another option is to spread the distributions and the taxes over that 10-year period, or they could wait until the 10th year and take a full taxable distribution at that time. Now, that might be a good idea if they're certain they're going to be in a lower tax bracket 10 years from now. Now, there's an exception. If the IRA or plan owner died after distributions had already started, most non-spousal beneficiaries must take RMDs based on their age, years 1 through 9, and empty the account by the end of year 10. Now let's move on to the new Secure Act. We call it the Secure Act 2.0 of 2022. And it offered enhancements to the Secure Act that we just went over of 2019. And this went into effect January 1, 2023. Under the Secure Act 2.0, there were two important enhancements. One, the age you must start taking required minimum distributions was increased from age 72 to age 73. That was effective January 1, 2023, and it is scheduled to increase to age 75 starting January 1, 2033. Also, the penalty for missing a required minimum distribution was reduced from 50% to 25%. Now, that's still high, but that's a very big improvement. An important note, If you turned age 72 in 2022 or earlier, you must continue to take your required distributions as usual, so the new age 73 start date will not apply to you. Now, I want to show you a tax break. You know, when you take a required minimum distribution, it is taxable. You may be able to neutralize the tax on some or all of your required distribution if you have earned income. And let me give you an example. Let's say based on your age and the amount of money in your qualified plan, your taxable distribution for any given year was $15,000. Well, did you know now that you can contribute after age 70 and a half, you can deposit $15,000 into a tax-deductible IRA. That's $7,500 for you and $7,500 for your spouse. So that's going to wind up with a taxable distribution of $15,000, but a tax deduction of $15,000, and you wind up paying a net zero tax. Now, there are some rules. You must be age 50 or over, you must have earned income, and you cannot contribute more than your earned income. The Secure Act 2.0 of 2022, again, went into effect January the 1st of 2023. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you have questions or concerns about the Secure Act, please take a note. Let's jump into mistake number 2, and that's missing a required minimum distribution. Your first distribution is due no later than April the 1st of the year after you turn age 73. Beginning, as I said earlier, in 2033, the new age to begin taking distributions will be moved all the way up to age 75. Now, after the first distribution, all future distributions are due by December 31st of subsequent years. If you miss a distribution, that's going to result in a 25% excise tax. So I'm going to give you 2 examples of what could happen if you miss taking your required minimum distribution. So here's example 1. Let's say your distribution, your required distribution is $10,000. That's based on your age and the amount of money in your IRA. And December 31st has come and gone, and for whatever reason, you missed that distribution. Here's what will happen. You still have to pay tax on that missed distribution. I'm going to ballpark that at $3,000 because some of you are in states that have a state income tax on top of the federal income tax. But then the IRS takes 25% of that $10,000 missed distribution, and that becomes an excise tax, in this case, $2,500. So if you add together the total tax and penalty, it comes out to $5,500. So what just happened? $5,500 of that $10,000 distribution that was earmarked for your retirement winds up going to the IRS, and $4,500 is left for you. In this case, ladies and gentlemen, the IRS just became your senior partner. Example number 2. Let's say the distribution you missed was $20,000. December 31st again has come and gone, and you failed to take that distribution. You're still going to have to pay the income tax on that distribution, but the IRS is going to charge an additional 25% excise tax, and if you add together the total tax and penalty, that's $11,000. So what happened this time? $11,000 goes to the IRS, and $9,000 of that $20,000 distribution intended for your retirement goes to you. And again, Uncle Sam just became your senior partner. So ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions about missing a required distribution, or if you've missed a required distribution, please take a note. We can help. Let's jump into mistake number 3, and that's not properly designating beneficiaries, and that can leave a glaring hole in your estate plan. And to make the point, I'm going to cite the United States Supreme Court ruling on planned beneficiary form. Now, this was Kennedy versus Plan Administrator for DuPont Savings and Investment Plan. And here's what happened. The United States Supreme Court unanimously ruled that William Kennedy's ex-spouse received his $402,000 retirement plan because she was the named beneficiary. Now, under the decree of divorce of 1994, Mr. Kennedy's ex-spouse waived her rights and any benefits to his retirement plan, and they both agreed that the proceeds would be paid to their daughter, but they failed to change the beneficiary document. How could that happen? Well, both Mr. Kennedy and his attorney believed that a decree of divorce, because it's a legal document and had a more current date, would override the beneficiary form, and they were quite wrong. When Mr. Kennedy passed away in 2001, again, the United States Supreme Court awarded his retirement plan to his ex-wife. And I said all that to make this point. The beneficiary form trumps everything, regardless of what a will, a trust, a decree of divorce, or any other signed document might say. I want to talk about another beneficiary mistake, and I call this one too much, too fast. It's estimated that the average inheritance is spent between 90 days and 17 months. And according to MarketWatch, 1 in 3 Americans who get an inheritance blow it. If you think about the time you spent to build that retirement account, you certainly wouldn't want your beneficiaries to spend that money in 90 days or 17 months. Why this happened is very simple. It's because those who save money are better at handling money than those who inherit money. This young lady's just received her inheritance, and she's already ready to buy something online. Folks, properly set up beneficiary documents can prevent losses due to beneficiaries that have spendthrift problems, or maybe one of your beneficiaries has the potential of a divorce, and one half of that inheritance may wind up in the hands of their ex-spouse. But they may have a potential bankruptcy that can also prevent you from unintentionally disinheriting your grandchildren. It can avoid the cost and time of probate and help avoid bad choices made by inexperienced beneficiaries. So I'm going to recommend you get a beneficiary form checkup. It doesn't cost anything, there's no obligation, and the mistakes are easily corrected. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're concerned about beneficiary mistakes, I hope you'll take a note. Let's move on to mistake number 4, and that's not knowing the new IRA 401k rollover rules that could cause immediate taxation. There are 4 reasons why you may want to move or roll over your retirement accounts. Maybe you want to eliminate market risk, or you want to get rid of those high fees. Or maybe you just want to earn a higher rate of return on your investment, or it could be there are too many restrictions in your 401k, 403b, or TSP plans. There are new rules about how you can move or roll over these accounts, so let's go over them. Why are these new IRA rollover rules so important? Because there's 2 ways to transfer your IRA and 401k to other retirement accounts. One is called an indirect rollover, and the other is called a direct rollover. And we're going to examine them both. Here's how an indirect rollover works. Let's say you have your money at risk someplace and you decide you want to put it someplace safe, and you have the current custodian send a check to you. You then cash that check and write your own check to the new custodian, and this has to be done within a 60-day deadline. So far that seems simple, but here's the issue. You may only do 1 indirect rollover every 365 days. If you do an additional indirect rollover the same year, it becomes 100% taxable. So let me give you an example. We're going to use John. John has 2 IRAs, one for $50,000, one for $250,000. Well, John does an indirect rollover with his $50,000 IRA in January. He got the check from the custodian, he cashed it, he wrote the check to the new custodian within 60 days, and that's okay. But then 3 months later, John said, hey, I like this. And he does a second indirect rollover with his $250,000 IRA. Within that same 365 days, here's what happens. That second indirect rollover is no longer an IRA, and John will need to pay income tax on the entire $250,000. So now let's take a look at a direct rollover. It's very simple. You have your money someplace, maybe it's at risk, you want to put it someplace safer, but instead of having them write a check to you, they transfer it directly to the other institution, the institution of your choosing. You don't receive a check, it's sent directly to the new institution. And here's the good part about that. You can do that as often as you want without any tax consequences, and it eliminates the 20% mandatory withholding that you would have to go through with an indirect rollover. So folks, if you want to avoid costly rollover mistakes, be sure to take a note. We're already at mistake number 5, and that's too much of your IRA at risk, and that can easily derail your retirement plans. So if you need income from your IRA, or you want to leave a legacy for your family, risk can literally ruin those plans. So let me talk to you about the biggest risk. Let's say all of your retirement plans are in the market, and you're currently taking required distributions, and the market drops like it did in 2008 and in 2022. Well, you're going to have to make a decision. You now have less money in that account. You either need to reduce your income or you run the risk of running out of money in retirement. In 2020 and 2021, the markets reached record highs, and that's for three main reasons. Number one, trillions of dollars of stimulus money was pumped into the economy to avoid an economic meltdown. Inflation was very low, and interest rates were kept at almost all-time lows. So here's the question. When the stimulus money ends, and if interest rates and inflation remain high, will the market take a nosedive? Many of you remember taking losses in your IRAs, 401ks, and other retirement plans. So the question is, what's next? Well, if you're already retired or close to retirement, the stakes are higher now than they were in 2008 because you may not have time to recover from the next market correction. So folks, if you're concerned about having too much risk, if you don't like what you're seeing in the market today, be sure to take a note. Now we're going to jump into mistake number 6, and that's overpaying fees and loads on your IRAs, 401ks, and other retirement accounts. So here's an example. Let's say you have $200,000 invested in an IRA, and you're going to get a 5% rate of return for 10 years. On the left side, you're in the market, probably paying some form of a management fee. We're going to assume 1.5%. That's just about average. Well, at the end of the 10 years, at a 5% rate of return minus a 1.5% management fee, you would have $282,000, just a little over $282,000 in your IRA. Now let's take a look at this with no fee. The same $200,000 at a 5% rate of return over a 10-year period with no fee would have grown to $325,000, or a little over $325,000. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a difference of over $43,000 or 15% more with no fee. Now, there's also some hidden fees in your 401k and other plans. There are investment fees, there are plan administration fees, and individual service fees. And according to smartasset.com, the average fee is 2.22%. And also, according to smartasset.com, the average worker pays over $138,000 in fees over their lifetimes. So folks, if you think you're overpaying your fees and loads, you might want to take a closer look and find out exactly what they are to see if you're comfortable. And be sure to take a note if you're concerned about that. Mistake number 7 is not knowing the secret to converting your retirement account into tax-free income. So from the first day you contributed to your retirement plan, Uncle Sam became your partner. Remember, you took a tax deduction, but at some point those taxes have to be paid. So everything's going well, you're surrounded by family, you're celebrating your 73rd birthday, and now it's time to start taking your taxable distributions. And at that point, you realize that some of your IRA or 401k is now an IOU to the Internal Revenue Service. Now, the Roth IRA conversion may be the best solution for some of you depending upon your individual circumstances. When you do a conversion, you pay the income tax on your IRA when you convert. Now, you don't have to convert it all at one time. You can convert it gradually over 3 or 4 or 5 or even 10 years. When you have a Roth IRA, you are no longer forced to take any distributions. However, if you choose to take a distribution, it's income tax-free, and all future gains and interest earned are income tax-free. So a small tax bite today may save you a fortune in taxes tomorrow. So folks, if you're considering a Roth conversion, if you want to generate tax-free income, be sure to take a note. Now we're already at mistake number 8, and that's not moving those 401ks, 403bs, TSP plans, and other types of plans to a more flexible IRA. Why do people participate in 401ks, 403bs, and TSPs? It's very simple. The number one reason is employer matching funds. It's that free money. Maybe you're putting in 5% and they're matching 5%. But when the contributions stop, the free money ends, and it may be time to get your money out of the plan. So the question is, what should you do with your 401k, 403b, or other retirement plans when you retire? Well, you have 2 choices. You can leave the money in the plan, or you can roll the plan to a more flexible IRA. So first, let's examine leaving your money in the plan. Here are the things you'll deal with. The plan guidelines can restrict your access to your money. Your investment options are limited because most of them offer market risk. They're offering mutual funds. And remember, we talked about those fees and loads. They could be as low as 0.20%, as high as 5%. But again, according to smartasset.com, the average fee is 2.22%. Now let's take a look at rolling the plan to an IRA. First of all, a direct rollover, remember we talked about indirect and direct, a direct rollover avoids the 20% mandatory withholding for taxes. Your money continues to grow tax deferred, but now you control where your money is invested, and the entire universe of investments becomes available to you. IRAs offer the Roth conversion, and you can eliminate or reduce market risk, and you can eliminate or reduce fees and loads. Now, also, there's another opportunity for your 401ks. If you're over age 59 and a half, most 401ks, 403bs, and TSP plans, they only offer mutual funds, but you can do an in-service transfer to an IRA. That means you're still working. You can transfer that money into an IRA and protect the principal from the next market downturn. And the best part, plan owners can continue to contribute after an in-service rollover and continue to receive company matching funds. Now, if you were laid off or changed employments, you may be able to move your 401k or 403b now. So folks, 401k, 403b, TSP planning can eliminate very costly mistakes for you and for your family. So folks, if you're considering moving your 401k, 403b, TSP, or other retirement plans to a more flexible IRA, please take a note. We're already at mistake number 9, and folks, that's having too many retirement accounts. If we call that the retirement mess, and it may be time to consider consolidating. Did you know the average person that retires in this country has their retirement savings between 8 and 10 different accounts? So if all of your IRAs and other qualified retirement accounts can be consolidated into one easy-to-manage IRA, the advantages are you're less likely to make any costly mistakes that we just went over, you're less likely to get hit with any IRS penalties, and it's easier to calculate your required minimum distribution from one plan than it is from 8, 9, or 10 plans. Now, if you own a Roth IRA, you will need a second account because you cannot put a traditional IRA and a Roth IRA in the same account. So folks, if you have too many retirement accounts like most people do when they hit retirement age, please take a note. Here we are at mistake number 10, and that's not getting a second opinion. So let's first talk about your health. You know, maybe you see your family practitioner once a year, every 6 months, or maybe just when you're not feeling well. And they check your pulse, they check your blood pressure, and they also listen to your heart. So if your family practitioner is listening to your heart and he says, "John, I don't like what I'm hearing, and I believe you have a heart problem," what I want you to do before you leave the office, stop at the nurse's station, schedule an appointment to come in early next Tuesday, and I'm going to perform open heart surgery. Well, just the thought of that might scare you, but that's not what would happen. What your family practitioner would do is refer you to a cardiologist or perhaps a cardiac surgeon or somebody that had the training, the skill, and the experience to deal with your particular health problem. Now let's talk about your wealth. Unfortunately, there is no built-in system to get you to the person that has the expertise in the area that you need. So there's 3 phases of retirement wealth. So let's talk about those. There's the accumulation phase, the preservation phase, and the distribution phase. Now, prime earning years, while you're saving for retirement, that is the accumulation phase. But somewhere around age 60, it's time to protect the money that you've saved. Now you're in the preservation phase. And at age 73, you have to start taking required distributions, and now you're in the distribution phase. So does it make sense for you to get a second opinion from somebody who specializes in preservation and distribution? Getting a second opinion from a member of the American Network of Financial Education can save you a fortune in 4 major areas. 1, it can stop market losses, it can stop you from overpaying taxes, overpaying fees, and it can help you avoid unnecessary IRS penalties. So folks, if you'd like to get a second opinion, be sure to take a note. Now, here we are at mistake number 11, and I said there were 10 mistakes, but this is a bonus mistake, and it's an important one, and that's not having a plan that gives you a guaranteed income for life. According to Kiplinger, Retirees with a guaranteed income are happier and they live longer. Also, according to Kiplinger, everyone with savings can secure a lifetime income that goes a long way toward peace of mind in retirement. So there are three ways to have a guaranteed income for life. Of course, there's Social Security. That's going to be based on earnings. There's employee pension plans, but very few companies still offer this. A third option that's available to everybody is called an indexed account. And the way that one works is it grows with the market, but there's no market risk, and it can provide a guaranteed income for life. So good advice, folks, can make the difference between rapid taxation and a lifetime of income. So if you're concerned about income or having a guaranteed income for life, be sure to take a note. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you found the information I shared with you today helpful in protecting the future of your retirement plans. And from all of us at the American Network of Financial Education, we wish you financial safety and a stress-free retirement.